Welcome, fellow Yuvians, and welcome to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. My name is Melanie Dean. I get to be the host for this particular episode, which we are doing a review of the Giggle. So that was the third and final special in our little 14th Doctor run. Maybe for now. We'll get into that a little bit later as we review. But quick note on the card, we were utilizing the card that we did for the watch party. So this is not a live watch. You are not going to be seeing the episode tonight. You will be listening to us chat about it, talk about the great things, maybe the not so great things, and the phenomenal things of this episode. If you're watching us live, you could be watching us on Facebook. You could be watching us on YouTube. You will notice that there's chat feature in there. And as we chit chat, for those who are just joining us for the very first time, again, welcome. We will pull up your comments, your questions, and all that kind of stuff. So we are very interactive, as you can see here. I'm not good at singing, so I'm not going to attempt that. Talking about my generation. Okay, maybe not. See, I told you it wasn't good. But anywho,
you are glorious.
Please feel free to do this and chit chat and all that, and we'll pull up your comments. So, without further ado, I have 4 lovely people who have joined me tonight to talk about the Giggle. In no particular order, although I'm kind of doing a particular order on this one. My partner in crime tonight doing the chats and hitting all the buttons because I can't do more than one thing at once except talk with my hands. Sorry, I'm Sicilian. Dave Chapman, bring yourself up and say hello to these lovely people.
Hello, hello, hello. Before we get started, one other really important thing. If you haven't already figured it out.
Oh, not yet. Spoilers.
Spoilers are going to be happening.
Yes, the new spoilers one.
Yay.
But no, this is going to be a great day. It was a great episode. And when this is all done, come visit me over on my channel for some more fun, because I'm going to be doing a special birthday special.
Birthday special.
In advance of my actual birthday and slightly delay of Kevo's birthday.
Good segue.
Yeah, isn't it though?
Good segue.
Good segue. Hey, Kevo.
That's me. Hey, everyone. Yes. I got a birthday by generation event, so that's very exciting. Yeah, this was a really exciting episode. As an episode, I don't know how much I loved it, but it introduced a lot of really cool stuff. We talked about it a lot on our own channel in an episode called Then and Now, which was about how a lot of things that were going through sort of renaissances in 2010 went through renaissances around now as well. So it's interesting times, very interesting times in media.
Absolutely. I'm gonna say absolutely, and then some, because now I noticed on Disney Plus there's a scene, because I couldn't help but see your Loki poster, that there's now one that says time stories, and all that was Doctor Who, and they added Loki, and I'm like, oh, and they added Avengers Endgame, so now they're the audience that's good with getting their minds wrapped around time and space and all that. We have our own little section in Disney Plus.
Bring in those MCU fans and be like, hey, maybe you've heard of Doctor Who. Maybe you don't know what it is, like Neil Patrick Harris, and we can tell you all about it. Yes, the Doctor's an alien. Isn't that interesting?
Stark Tower.
Thank you. So, jumping right into it, also with another little introduction, our very own Jessica Womack.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. I see Meow Meow in the back.
What are you doing? Yeah, she's just enjoying her life.
Enjoying life. How? Yeah, that's right.
There it is.
Cat alert. Cat alert. So how have you been? Excited about the episode? When did you watch it, live, or did you have to play catch up like me?
I played catch up, but not too far. It was like Sunday morning, so it was just like 24 hours.
I waited till Monday, and I had to have my blinders on. Like, please, I don't want to be too.
It's like, don't watch anything.
No.
Not too spoiled, but we'll see. So last, absolutely not least, we have somebody in the background here, our 4th companion, and it's Skeletor. No, wait, that's not Skeletor.
Hello, you bumbling boobs.
He said
it's
boobs.
the Reverend Amagon. Hey, Tom. How are you?
Hey, hello, Melanie. I wish I had a pencil and a thin mustache so I could solve mysteries too.
But I'm done. Sorry for the pause there. I needed to go find my hi-hat and my snare.
Still going with the Jimmy Buffett stuff. Oh, it's cold in here.
It's cold
outside.
Oh my God. Yes. I mean,
I really can't stay.
Because
baby,
we don't have
cold outside.
We are all urging along the multiple numbers tonight, trying to avoid them, but failing.
Yes. Yeah.
More or less.
Okay. So the way you typically do a review is, and we did as we did last week, the week before, and so on and so forth, is that we will review it by giving it like 1 out of 10 TARDISes. So 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. And then what we'll do is we will review it going low to high. So, and Dave, I'll let you go first. We're just going to go around the clockwise. I can speak really. Cognitive skills. Dave, what did you rate it?
9.
9. Okay, so
Oh,
I should be
wow.
writing this stuff down. He
I'll
went
give
with
it a
9.
15. And a 14.
You dropped, Dave.
Woo!
You said it was
Gave it a
9.5 on Saturday.
Oh,
It
well,
changed. Did you learn nothing?
shenanigans.
It should have gone up.
Jess,
Jess.
what is your rating?
Oh, yes. I honestly think 7.
A 7. Okay. Reverend Amagon, what are you giving it?
Well, dang. Well,
What would you give
dang.
the
I'll
Giggle?
go with Dave. But 9.5. I'm taking his old answer.
Plus it to
Ooh.
9.5. Okay. And Kevo, what rating would you give the Giggle?
8.
An 8. All right.
Yeah, ish.
As episodes go, I'm going to give this a 10. I really liked it.
Good
So
for
I
you.
also have to go last, but oh darn. I'm still a 10. I'm still happy, smiling, but maybe that's because I just watched it last night and I'm still riding that high of. So now that I've got that locked into our little private chat, the lowest was Jess with 7. So you get to go first, my lady.
So
Why a 7?
I will say I don't think 7 is bad.
No,
I
Okay, no,
don't.
absolutely not.
I think that
not the American school system C, like a real 7. Got it.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, so it's definitely like has a lot of really good positive, like it's better than a 50%, it's yeah, there was some amazing points, but there were definitely I feel like I'm playing emotional catch up with Doctor Who of I'm really needing them to like pull me back in because I was really underwhelmed with a lot of Jodie stuff. So I feel like I'm going into all of these episodes a little bit more critical than I usually would be, if that makes
Okay.
Yeah.
sense. So it's almost
Okay.
like I need it to be better than 10 to be a 10. I don't know if
Yeah.
that makes sense. So I think that's why I'm at about a 7. Because there's definitely some things that I was like, I don't love. Like, Stark Tower was funny because it was definitely Stark Tower,
It was.
Yeah.
but also it was Stark Tower. So I'm like, oh, is Iron Man showing up? Like,
I did make the joke of when's the Quinjet landing. They can't do that with the thing at the very end.
okay,
the
if they
gun,
brought
no.
Phil Coulson in, I would have been down. Like, Phil Coulson would work for
Don't
me.
tempt him.
Suddenly he shows up. He's a unit.
Oh my gosh, I would
Yeah.
just a cameo. Just have Phil walk in the background or Melinda May or something. Like, yes, please. I mean, they have the building. Like, come on. But yeah, so I loved having the reference though to Classic Cube without like trying to like really change it, or it gave me remnants of having the Ice Warrior, how we brought back the Ice Warrior with, was that Matt that had Ice Warrior?
Yeah.
So like I loved
And
it
then
because it was
Yeah.
a good nod. It brought it back. It really had those stakes really high, but I do feel like it was resolved very fast. And I'm
Yes.
like, for this to be such a big bad, which I
Mhm.
loved, I didn't want it to be resolved that fast, and that was giving me the bad taste of everything that happened with Jodie. The thing is they have this wonderful buildup, and I'm invested, and then they're like, and it's fixed, and it's like, oh, okay. Like I wanted there to be like a good, clever, like battle it out, not like battle, but so I think that was kind of my reasoning for like more of a 7, because I felt like there was a lot of untouched potential.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what docks me a little bit, is just not using that potential. Some of the things that like make it definitely wonderful, amazing. The ramp for the TARDIS
Oh,
Yeah.
that it's
for
actually
wheelchairs.
accessible now. That's
Yes,
so cool.
I'm so happy. I'm also happy that you had an ambulatory wheelchair user, which I think I've never seen one in media representation. I don't know if I'm watching the wrong stuff, but I loved that. So there was just some really good,
Yep.
and I think it was well done, because I feel like when you're doing representation for any type of minority, any type of disability, there's this habit to go too far, to being like, guess what? It's a minority, or guess what? It's a disability, and it's a little bit too much playing into it. And so I think they did it very tastefully, where it was like, no, people are just like this, and that's okay, and they're a part of our people, just like it wasn't, they didn't make a big deal about it. They just kind of acknowledged it, fixed the TARDIS problem, and was like, and here we go. So I really liked the way that they handled it in this episode with that, and had that representation and everything. So I thought that was brilliant. Do we discuss the bi-generation in the room?
If you want to, is that why it became a 7? Or is that why it became a 7?
I think that's why it became a 7.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fair.
I think that's why it became a 7. Because for me, it seems very favoritism towards David in a weird way. It just, from an outside perspective and a fan service perspective, because it seems like it's a way to keep David. It seems like a cheap way to keep David as the Doctor indefinitely.
See, Mike.
That is.
Go
ahead.
No, go ahead.
That's actually prong that's prong number 2 in my 4-part presentation. So I get what you're saying, and there's a lot of information that's going to start rolling out that isn't really readily available yet. But like, I literally watched the commentary the night of, because he even warned in advance he's going to be dropping information in that commentary that's going to blow people's minds, and it sure as heck did. So I really hear what you're saying, and I also have thoughts on.
Yeah,
it
because
is
it's
a little
not
bit.
that I'm fully against the idea of it, but I know that they were saying, I know like Russell T Davies was saying, like, we're gonna change the lore of Doctor Who for good after this episode, which I'm fine with if it makes sense. But this one definitely seemed kind of towards almost his favorite too, because like, I know David's the one that put Doctor Who back on the map. Completely get that. But it very much seemed
See,
cheap.
I just think that when Time Lords regenerate, every Time Lord has the option during their tenure to pop off another Time Lord that looks like David Tennant. David Tennant did it in David Tennant's run to be 10. There's 10.2, and now 14 had a David Tennant. He's like, you know what? Here's another David Tennant. He just gets that option. For the 70th anniversary, we're going to have 8 David Tennant options, and we're just going to roll with it and be happy. Sorry.
I mean, if you'd like the definitive answer, we have it. What's funny is Jess is right for all the wrong reasons. Which is bizarre, but like, yeah, everything about this is bizarre, but it's really, I feel like it's very exciting. Yeah.
We can segue to you, because Kevo, because you are at number 8. If Jess is good with.
Yeah, I was like, I'll start the discussion. I'll bring it up with my opinion.
And it's a lot. It's all very weird and questionable, and it's going to take some time to like percolate and for fans to really digest everything that happened. So the first prong is, in the first place, what happened in front of us. So this 14 bi-generation copy, what I kind of liken it to, this isn't Russell's language, but it's kind of like a snake shedding its skin.
Okay.
He is the copy. He does not have regenerative capabilities. Again, Russell didn't explicitly say that, but he kind of implied it. He is just a snakeskin copy, and Shooty is the still ongoing Doctor.
Yeah.
Dead snakeskin. And so this is a copy of the Doctor that will grow old eventually. The second prong of this is that this was retroactive. This was not just the 14th Doctor. In Russell's estimation, the prize from the Celestial Toymaker that they got is that retroactively, we now have bi-generative copies of every Doctor. And as David asked, and this is quoting, so there's 3 of me out there now, because Russell was saying, like, there's an 8th Doctor, there's a 10th Doctor, and David said, so there's 3 of me actively out there right now. Bi-generative 10, bi-generative 14, and Metacrisis 10th Doctor. And Russell's like, yeah. And so this is a Doctor-verse now. They all have their own copy of the TARDIS. The 7th Doctor woke up in a drawer, as he said. And so this is a thing. The third prong of my presentation is sort of why this was done. Creatively, it's for things like Colin Baker can't play the Doctor anymore. He can't play the 6th Doctor where he was. It's just not realistic. Why would we recast him instead of... The excitement is having Colin Baker come back. So instead, we don't need to do any of this wibbly wobbly if we want someone to come back. And he cited a lot of other things, things that I don't even understand references to. Like one Doctor saved another Doctor one time and there was no explanation for it. Things like that. It's more like he is trying to widen this whole thing and be like, maybe the bi-regenerative copies are the ones from Tales of the TARDIS. And we weren't able to talk about that earlier because this episode hadn't dropped yet. But it's so they can have things like that. Now, David can reappear as 10 or 14, and we don't need to do things like, he looks old now.
Yes.
There's a copy of the Doctor that grows old and doesn't regenerate. So the curator is probably the bi-regenerative 4th Doctor.
Oh, please, yes.
So this
And
was
if
the
anything,
way
yes,
of
please.
multiversing?
Kind of. It's Doctor versing, and a lot of people have pointed to things like, well, there's a copy of the 10th Doctor out there that didn't go off with Rose, or like the 13th Doctor that didn't go off with Yaz, which I get. It's weird and it's confusing, but like, it's
still
just sort of
filling it
like
out.
trying to,
That's Doctor Who.
yeah, they're still filling it out.
Because I kind of see it as it's when Hartnell couldn't do the show anymore and they figured out, okay, well, we came up with an idea. It's going to be Patrick Troughton's going to come in and he'll just take his place, and that's how we will continue the character of the Doctor. This is like RTD going, you know what? How about instead of taking place, we just, like you said, like a snakeskin, they just shoot off. Everything keeps going into the next one. It's just now a baton. It's a relay race, and the last one carrying the baton doesn't have to die.
We did that because we didn't want the Doctor to die, and now we're doing this because we love when the Doctor comes back, but it becomes impossible at a certain point. So how do we make that easier?
So how are they tackling, and maybe they will later, the issue of the multiple of a person in one place? Because, with 9, you even see like an issue with having things interfere. Manhattan, Doctor can't go back to Manhattan because he's quite literally time-wise interfered with that too many times. So if you've got duplicates of ridiculous amounts of Doctors all throughout time and space, I feel like that's problematic from how we've understood time.
But I feel like it's always been problematic because we're always getting new stories of the Doctor, and I feel like we've had plenty of stories of the Doctor in New York since
which we never
that 10 years ago. But like, it's all TV. It's all for the sake of freeing us creatively. I understand that there need to be rules, but we also need to be a little bit freer in our understanding of these things because it's all sci-fi fantasy.
It's letting us have more toys in the sandbox.
And honestly, there was more divulge, which is my fourth prong, which is
That's right. You have a fourth
a,
prong.
a little spoilery, a little speculatively. It's a little bit Russell talking about the production of the new season. Because in the first place, David even asks, so I'm out there, like, and Russell says, I know people are going to be like, why isn't the 14th Doctor jumping in all the time? Well, because it's a story, because he can't. He says there will be at least one reference to the 14th Doctor parked in this season. But one of the things that he started talking about was the use of the Celestial Toymaker. And he kept talking about the Celestial Toymaker's comment of, my legions are coming. And Russell kept referring to these, what? Oh, just waving. Hi.
Yeah,
Kept referring to these figures as gods and how we're going to meet more of them. Specifically said we've met two in where they have produced already. I am speculating one of them is my girl Jinx Monsoon. And to me, a lot of the stuff that is already being seeded with the way that 14 was talking to the Toymaker like a fellow Eternal. I really wonder if Russell is starting down a road of widening the timeless child. And that's part of By Generation is the Doctor is experimenting with what his abilities really are because he has so much untapped potential that he doesn't realize. And I got to thinking about like this concept of the Doctor being an Eternal, like those figures, and where the Celestial Toymaker's realm is play. It's almost like the Doctor is the eternal companion to our universe. He himself is the companion, and his eternal duty is to bear witness to the universe. And I really feel like those are seeds I'm already starting to see. And maybe it's nothing, but last week we were like, do we think By Generation is going to happen? And I was like, no way. So this week I'm going to throw my hat out there and like really swing for the bleachers and say, this is what sparked in my brain in terms of what we were seeing and like, how is he able to do this? Well, it's all sci-fi fantasy nonsense, and really seeing them expand the Doctor like this, I'm more excited than not because all I can think about is what this adds creatively.
So to counter of you saying like it is sci-fi fantasy or whatever, the whole thing with science has rules. And something that makes sci-fi so interesting for me is the fact that they stick to those rules. And we've seen a trend recently, as you were even saying, with everything being revamped and them like changing the rules for everything. Like they've changed the rules for Star Wars, they've changed the rules for quite literally everything we've known, they keep changing the rules for. And at some point, it almost seems like it's not to the benefit of the story, it's just to the benefit of lining the pockets of producers. And it's that's honestly my detriment, and I'm personally having trouble accepting a lot of the media stuff because it's just like, I see the bigger picture. Yes, we've now opened a universe door to all these other versions, but could there not have been a more sci-fi reason behind it that doesn't break the established canon to explain it? Like, I almost wish that they would go more scientific and more this, as opposed to a, well, this god gave you this gift, and it's kind of like this get out of jail free card that doesn't.
But was regeneration not that in the first place, though?
Yeah.
Was regeneration not that in the first place? Is this not simply introducing Gallifrey after 50 episodes when we never knew the Doctor's homeworld? Is this not introducing regeneration as a concept? I really hear what you're saying, and I get that where that's the dark side, but I'd love to draw attention to the other side of that coin, which is just for a franchise to continue existing and growing, it needs to kind of break its own rules and continue to evolve. The thing that I liken it to is comic books, which are constantly reinventing their own rules. And it's not a very lucrative field. So believe me, it's definitely not just to line the pockets of producers. And I hear where you're saying that.
Yeah.
But I really feel like a lot of people, and this isn't necessarily at your criticism in particular, but people jump to the dire first. They jump to the doom and gloom. Like I keep seeing people point and use the word Disneyfication of Doctor Who, even though Disney has absolutely no creative say whatsoever in Doctor Who. I keep
Yeah.
seeing that word even in terms of professional criticism. And like, it goes so far to a negative extreme. And that's part
Oh,
of where
yeah.
I just kept trying to be excited rather than jumping to disappointment or jumping to
And I
concern.
feel like I'm in this weird middle where I'm trying not to jump straight to the full negative, but I'm
Mhm.
definitely not caught up in the hype and the positive. And I'm almost like sad that I can't get to that hype and positive. So it's not that I'm like trying to be the Debbie Downer. It's like I want to be excited, but some of it is asking too much suspension of disbelief, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like I'm okay with changing some of the rules, but it's like, make it more scientific. Like, give me science because you've got this whole thing. Because I feel like Doctor Who's taken a step away from the education portion. And
Mhm.
I feel like
I
it's taken a
absolutely
step
agree.
away from science. And so I feel like they could have taken actual quantum physics, actual things that are meant to be educational, what Doctor Who was meant to be, and give us a different explanation. I think that's where my criticism comes into play. It's not necessarily having a full issue of them needing to change, because you are absolutely correct. For something to continue, you kind of have to like tweak it a bit. But I think it's just the way that they're doing, where they
Mhm.
kind of just like have a catch-all and it's just this magic. And the whole point of Doctor Who was it's not magic, it's science that people don't understand yet. And instead, I feel like they've jumped further beyond what, because even the
And
doctor
that
says
is the
he doesn't
intention.
understand it.
Mhm.
Yes, that
And
was the
and
intention.
yeah.
And
The
typically these
intention. Sorry, go ahead, please. By all
No,
means.
I was gonna say, and typically these kind of things happen during specials where Doctor Who has a tendency of turning the next what the plot point is going to be, or what the carrot on the stick's going to be during a special, where they're going to change and put things on their head and kind of break the mold a little bit during specials.
Yeah.
And for me, I tend to because both of you make amazing points. Both in the do you really want to go too crazy? Because by doing it by generation, yeah, I love personally, I'm on the side of, yeah, we get to see more doctors and everything. But I see your point, Jessica, on the, yeah, but the rules are, we have one strict timeline, also that kind of stuff. And how many things are we going to be spreading just so that we can have more things to watch on Disney Plus? Is it really going to push a story? Again, good point back and forth that we can point counterpoint on. And I've already lost where I was going with this.
That's okay. I
So bad.
try and regain your thread. I want to toss this out there. Pick a thing. Telephones, medical science, whatever. Pick a science thing in 1968. And
Telephone.
take that thing today.
Okay.
Where is that different? How much has that evolved?
Yeah.
Now, where was
Maybe a
Doctor
little.
Who's science in 1968? And how little has it arguably evolved through most of the series? So to say it's jumped, and I don't, for the record, I do not disagree with either of you.
Mhm.
But just to bring it back to the keep it to the science, it's never been specifically about the science.
I remember.
It's been the science plus.
I remember my point now.
Now it's just
Go.
6 years ahead.
It was because we're doing a special. Think back to like when with the curator with the 50th, and they're like, "Oh, Gallifrey's actually there." Your whole thing of oh, you have PTSD and everything's gone. Oh, by the way, we're just gonna they're alive. They did that during a special, but they didn't just fix it and then okay, we're good. They took the following season. It took how many episodes and seasons long to get to the point of finding it and da 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 da. So I kind of remember, I'm trying to tell myself that because these are specials, it's now up to Shooty's era and how many episodes and long arcs and stuff like that to see what exactly the ramifications of this is. And that it's not just...
Which is fair. And I think the thing with Gallifrey was, I felt like when we finally got to Gallifrey, they ended up dropping the ball once again. Like, because there
Right.
was a huge
Right.
buildup, and then we saw it for like 5 seconds. They're like, "Oh, I'm back, by the way," and then we haven't seen it since. And I'm like, "What? We just waste it." That was a big. So I do absolutely, because I think that's why I'm a weird like in between, because I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to believe that you will get somewhere. However, historically speaking, the ball keeps getting dropped, and it's very hard to keep getting my hopes up and then go, "Oh, we're back there again." Okay.
And
And I
to
think that's
speak
kind of where I am. I've got like watchers PTSD.
to speak to your point about the science, I really hear where you're coming from, but I really also think, and this is to be a huge criticism on the part of the writers, it requires them being very smart.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
television writers, I love them, are not always very smart. I aspire to be one as well, but like we're not always very smart people, and you kind of can't make it a requirement that you need to be smart at science plots to make television, especially something that is a major franchise like Doctor Who. It's great if you can, but I really feel like even Star Trek usually gives itself a lot of wiggle room on there's gods and there's magic and it's science magic, but we know it's magic. We just say it's a little bit more like the Asgard of the MCU science. And I really feel like this was an effort to remove the Scooby Doo taking off the mask moment from Doctor Who, because that can get exhausting for a writer. Because sometimes those fall flat too. Even if they put in, aha, but the science is this, it's often crap. And it's stuff that we don't know or recognize or remember. I did not recognize that the Gravitron beam thing, that's the radiation from midnight. That was on purpose. That's canon. I don't
I
know.
didn't
Everyone's not
realize
gonna remember.
that.
Everyone's
Yeah.
not going to remember stuff like that all the time. So they just like, even the science stuff is often just mumbo jumbo and doesn't always line up. And this is to sort of make it so you don't need to
And I
exhaust
think I
yourself
pick
making
up on
sure it
those
lines up.
and I get excited. And I think that's where like my preference is
And
like
that's
when they throw those
fair.
in, I'm like, ah, science.
You
Yeah,
like hard science, and I
I
really get
do.
that. That's really, really, really fair.
But yeah. No, and I understand because, well, and to your point, that was one thing I noticed from a shift of Doctor Who just through the past. What is that? Oh, the word just left.
18? Oh,
Yes,
what years?
yes.
Like the whole revival?
Since
Yeah.
the revival was
Okay.
the word I was looking for.
Yes.
But as soon as, and I'm trying not to insult Americans, but as soon as it became popular in America, that is when a lot of the intelligent Doctor Who kind of fell off and they started spelling things out word for word in most of the Doctor Who episodes. There was very much a shift where they kind of expected you to pick up on things, and it was around the years that it became popular in America where they were like,
Canada can be looped in here too. I'm just throwing that in there, okay?
Oh, no,
and
it can.
Canada,
Degrassi.
Nope.
North America,
Degrassi. North America.
North
North
America,
America.
North America. And I am American, so don't come at me in the comments of being like, I hate Americans. Like, I
was
am
watching
American.
Dave.
The term that I would use is making it accessible. Making it accessible to a wider audience is always Russell T Davies's goal. He will do anything to make Doctor Who an actual global phenomenon. Neil Patrick Harris never heard of Doctor Who. That was a kick in the pants. I was very
I didn't realize
surprised
that
to
until you
learn
said
that
that.
someone in his 50s who has been in entertainment his literal entire life had to ask Russell when he was reading the script. So the Doctor's an alien? That's why I made that joke earlier. He asked that question. People have never heard of this show. So he is trying to make it something that can actually be a global phenomenon. And, you know, there's stuff about that that will make it hinky. And maybe in another 20 years, it'll fall back off and someone will make it literal, just straight up a science procedural. Who knows? If it's around in another 20 years, who knows? But I feel that is his goal. Yeah, it does dumb
Yeah.
it down a little. I agree.
Yeah.
No,
Now,
who knows?
in Neil Patrick Harris's
Who knows?
defense / explanation, he also doesn't immerse himself in the culture of fandom really at all.
Yeah.
He's done all of one convention his entire life, unless he's done one since he did Calgary.
Who?
He did
NPH?
Calgary Comics and Entertainment Expo. It was a couple of years ago. It was his first ever convention, and Nathan Fillion is the reason he went.
He was on CBS at the same time as Big Bang Theory, though. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I
But
know when it comes to
gets it.
fandom, though, Neil Patrick Harris's biggest fandom that I knew of was Disney. He's a big Disney
Yes.
person,
He
and this has
is.
nothing to do with Disney, but with Doctor Who.
Yeah.
No,
And he
separate.
comes
I
to
mean,
Florida
like
every
Disney
year.
Parks, Disney. Like
Yeah.
that man was always there, the kind of like processional.
parents
He
just
was
saw
always
him
there
at the-
single.
I think he still comes. Yeah.
Yeah, now
Okay.
that
Some.
with the kids and his husband, and still he's a Disney fanatic. Well, he'll be like watching YouTube videos of ride stuff, but that's his fandom, and that's not necessarily a popular pop
Yeah.
culture comic con fandom kind of stuff. It's a different.
I
type
have
of
a question.
Yeah.
Did anyone else get the sense with that guy? How do you like my stroke? Neil Patrick
NPH.
Harris's performance as did it remind you of Count Olaf?
Probably, yeah.
A little
There's
bit.
also some MC from Cabaret in there. Totally.
Yeah.
Yes. But I was watching because it reminded me of wasn't it Jim Carrey that played and it reminded me of
He was Count Olaf on Netflix.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Netflix TV show. So he did play it. So I'm sure he threw that in. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just making sure I'm not crazy.
Yep.
Nope.
I was like, I'm seeing Count Olaf here, and I don't know why.
To a large extent, Neil Patrick Harris is usually playing Neil Patrick Harris in the same sort of way that Robin Williams almost always played Robin Williams.
Yes.
There's a lot more to it, obviously, and every character is slightly different, but you don't hire certain people for their chameleon-like acting abilities. You hire them to
No.
be them.
Because that's how you. On one hand, yes, it's typecasting, but the other hand, that's a good thing to typecast. You're like, who I can see in this role, and it's being evocative
Casting
in the
strength.
writers. Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't
But yeah, I
bad,
did get a little.
but-
I got a little Dr. Horrible
Oh,
in there too.
Yeah. Especially with the freeze ray cannon. I mean the graviton ray cannon.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was like,
Well-
I'm not complaining, but I was just like, I am getting some vibes
The
here.
The wildest revelation from the audio commentary is that the Celestial Toymaker was a late addition. Originally, the bad guy was just going to be Stooky Bill, but then, like, a little ways into writing it, Russell T Davies was like, what the hell am I doing? This puppet is not a compelling villain. I need to do something bigger than this. Facts.
That's wow. Good on it. Because for me, I was just like, he's pulling. I love the fact that he pulled. You know what? I can't talk right now because right now we should be hearing Dave tell me why it's an 8.
Oh yeah.
It
Or
was
wait,
a 9.
8, 9. It's a 9. He's
9.
9, and then Tom's 9.5. But
Yes.
why a 9, Dave?
I loved almost every minute of it. Is the short answer. Anything I didn't love were little details. Oh, one of the things that I complained a little bit about, like slightly offhandedly, on Saturday when we did the watch party, was why did they both have a shirt? They split every other piece of clothing because David Tennant's wearing
One was an undershirt.
I just didn't click it until I watched it again yesterday. I did not. That just didn't click for me. But it's like, oh, that makes more sense. No, I really did love most of it. I desperately want to see Sacha Dhawan and Neil Patrick Harris on lip sync on one of those lip sync battles, doing those two particular numbers. Cause yes, I want to see that. I want to see him come back, and they haven't closed the door. They just closed the box.
Yes, he's just folded up, nicely packed away in a little box that's going to go somewhere in unit.
I'm excited to see if the jukebox does something, because there's now in the TARDIS a jukebox.
Right.
Someone mentioned it looked like the one that might have been in the in Clara's. I don't know that it was.
Yeah.
I mean, most of them all look. There's really only 2 designs for those, so.
Yeah, you're right. The 2B kind, the round upside down U like he had, or the big square one with the big pane of glass.
One,
yeah, the Happy Days one.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see what happens with that. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. Where do those other portals go to? It's all over the place.
Where's the bathroom?
Is going to be great. I think he's going to absolutely have certain demographics of quote unquote fans heads exploding on a weekly basis.
Oh yes.
In
both directions.
Yeah, in both directions. Yeah, no, yeah, in both directions. It's true. It's gonna be. I'm excited. I have not been this excited for Who in several Doctors.
Yeah.
Maybe there was a honeymoon period at the beginning of Jodie, because I really did enjoy. Other than there was a lot in that first couple of episodes of Jodie where I'm just like, she's great, she's fabulous, and she didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And that's not a criticism of her. That's entirely the writing. I loved how David Tennant she was. She had that charisma. She has his smile. There are great comparative images of the two of them looking excited, and it's the same smile. And that comes from they're friends. They've known each other for a lot of years.
Yeah.
They did Bridgerton together, or Broadchurch together.
Yep.
So this makes sense. But it's just, I haven't felt this kind of hurry up in a very long time. And there was, yes, some of it was a little cheesy. Okay, great. Now we've got this giant Stark Tower. All right, whatever. Do we have? I would have liked to have seen the Sikh Major from Unit come back. Coming back to does it feel meaningful, or does it feel like a token? If he had come back, even just in the background, I think that would have raised his appearance in the first one up just that little bit. So like anything that I have that was a criticism isn't. It's just tiny little tweaks that I would do. There's a podcast called I Have Some Notes. It's stuff that would barely fit into that, where they revamp bad movies. It's a great podcast. Check it out. But they did not do any struck work during the strikes. They did all public domain during that. Good for them. But no, it's all little stuff that just like, okay, let's just tweak this here, flip that there. Other than that, I loved it. I'm excited again. Possibly as most excited I've been, full stop.
Spice up your life.
Just saying with Dan's comment is yes, I absolutely thought that. So that means that after the By Generation, David wasn't wearing underwear.
Yes.
Shooty got them. Let me put my earplugs in before the fangirls and boys squee my eardrums out. LOL. I'm like squee.
Just look how his trousers fall when he turns away.
As Tannant says, I'm much too old to squee, Dan. But don't worry, I sat there grinning like a fool. That was more,
My
respectful.
thought immediately
be respectful about this.
All of the cosplayers that are going to show up in just a shirt and underwear.
Oh, my husband. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm like,
discussed on Access for Show.
As soon as we shot shooting, I was like, oh, that's gonna be all over. Understood. There's gonna be a lot of half-naked men that are like, I'm the Doctor, and I'm like, okay.
Great.
Oh yeah,
they do.
I'm here.
How many years? Point take dance belts, people.
Yes. Yes.
Dance belts.
If you don't know what a dance belt is,
dance belt.
I don't want to have to explain it to you.
Prepare yourselves, gentlemen.
Google it.
It's an undergarment. It's an undergarment meant for any type, if you're wearing some type of a close part leotard or anything else, just like any other type of undergarment, it will smooth and
it does not have to be a thong.
Yeah.
No, you can get they're more comfortable. There's
when you first look it up on Amazon, those are the ones that pop up. So I'm just letting everyone know you don't have to get the thong one. Now we've got people really confused and
more dancers than I used to do a lot of theater for dancers. I used to do stage managing for them, and a lot of the men swore by the ones around the leg straps. But anyway, that's gonna help. That's your cosplay tip for today.
Cosplay tip. Dance belts.
Dance belts.
How's that a segue to
But
me?
and then I'm gonna be Mel during that side because I loved how Shooty turned around with that smile of his and going, "How do I look?" And she was like, "You're beautiful." And then just looking over to David, "How are you?" "You're beautiful."
Still beautiful.
Still beautiful. It's like, still beautiful.
Excuse me.
So, let's see. We were at 9.5. I believe it's Tom. Wake Tom up out of the corner.
Wow.
Yeah, September's ended. Wake me up.
Wake.
I was going to make that
No.
reference.
So 9.5, my dear. The good, the bad, the great.
I just had a thought and I forgot.
Well, it's 9.5,
my
so
thought
there's
is-
something that kept it from a 10. There's nothing that made it more than a 2.
Oh, it's something else I forgot. Okay, I'll get back to that sooner or later.
Okay.
Because 9.5, because 10 would just be too much. 9.5 is it was the enjoyment of Doctor Who. I did hear about the bi-generation, but it's like I didn't know what that meant. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna watch the show. I watched it. Of course, it was after Dave and Kevo and Mark and what else was on there? Nick did the show.
Yeah.
I was able to watch it on Daily Motion, and it was through the BBC. So just sitting there on my wide monitor saying, "Oh my God, Doctor Who's on," and Catherine is causing some tingly feelings in me. Oh, those redheads. I don't know. Something about those redheads.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of the bi-generation is like, okay, because it was after listening to Kevo on Saturday and then Sunday on X's for Show, because I am super fan on the chat.
Yay.
Sir.
And then asking Kevo again, so I have everything to read and understand. It's like, okay. That's why the 0.5 actually brought it down. The 0.5 because, okay, what about these doctors in the past? So we got the clone doctors going on. William Hartnell, first Doctor, okay, understandable in the novelization of the 5 Doctors. He was in his garden on Gallifrey waiting to regenerate. Okay, that was novelization. That fits now. Just seeing the second Doctor and third Doctor go back and forth, that's why they're banters. Okay. Tales from the TARDIS has to happen. It makes perfect sense now.
Yep.
When Kevo said that
Oh.
RTD had Sylvester in the drawer, that means he was in the morgue. He died
Yep.
and like, okay, comes back to life. Okay, it all fitting, but you can't go so far into it because it's just a show. It's like, okay, what about the War Doctor? What about when David regenerates into Matt and the TARDIS is crashing? It's like, does that mean, what happened to the TARDIS there? It's like, where's David's TARDIS? And because Matt's TARDIS has crashed in Amy's Amy's
Shed, yeah.
Shed, yeah.
In Amy's
It's like-
pond.
Yeah, they found a Dalek
Pools of
in
water.
the pond. What?
Duck pond with no ducks.
Right. So little things like that. Yes, the scientific and me, I'm always, what about the canon? How about this? How about that? When I do my writing, it's very specific. Say, well, it has to be done this way and that way. It's because if I say something else, to be thrown a flusher. But I'm also the one that wrote Doctor Who meets the Teletubbies, and that's one of the greatest stories ever. I had to write it 3 times because I first had Tom
Words.
Baker, then I had the guy who was supposed to replace me as the Doctor for the Guardians. But then I was like, wait a minute, I'm the one writing. I'm the Doctor now. I have a freaking mantle of the title, literally, because I'm an ordained minister. So that was the best thing. It's like, and it was one of former people on here, Charles Martin, that's still a good friend of mine. He said, at the time I wrote that, he said, how could you know all these things when Teletubbies was off the air for 10 years? Like, well, it's up in here. You don't know what's up in here. That happens. So
Well, that's
yes,
all right then.
that's it.
Ah.
Bazinga. And like the science says.
Yep.
So it's not perfect. And it can't be. It's like, scientifically we haven't seen anything happen. We don't understand anything. And all of a sudden a godlike creature comes about and goes, bing, I'm going to make this happen. It's like, okay, I'm there for the ride. The idea of losing David one more time, is like, we're going to lose him again? Oh my God, this is going crazy. Oh, he comes back. Okay. He gets arrested a bit. He gets a little travel here. There goes a spin-off. So, okay, more Doctor Who stuff, more Doctor Who merchandise, more Doctor Who stuff to put in the background here, like all my TARDISes and all that stuff like that. So I'm good with it. I'm very happy. 10 is like, well, because I hear everything that's been stated. Kevo helped me a lot with the information. That's why I brought it down. It's not perfect, but it still makes me happy. It's there. We can watch it. Go, girl, you can watch it again. I should have watched it again, but I made 4 videos today on my YouTube page. But still spectacular to me. And I can't wait for Shooty. His Sonic's kind of like to me, but he likes it. That's what matters. He likes what he's doing. We're going to have the back and forth discussions. We're trying to keep this show positive, try to keep it light against all these other people on social media. Every time I look through YouTube, oh, we don't like this, we don't like that. Like, okay, well, I don't like the way the world's run either, but can't do anything about that either. This is supposed to be for us to be entertained, to have discussions. Someone that works said to me, well, look what he's done to Doctor Who with the dad and the dad's like, you know what? It's just a show. Don't get into it. You watch all these other things. You watch your hentai, you watch your anime and Marvel movies. It's entertaining. We have no control.
It's
of
shows
it.
for entertainment. We can delve into it as far as we want to get into it. We can just sit back and watch and enjoy, or we can go crazy all in when it comes to fandom. That's the great thing with anything entertainment, anything that we enjoy. So before I go into my review, and maybe just hit on the things that we haven't really quickly done, let's go to see what everybody out here did. So Roger Andrew Bautista went 9.8 for me. Darn, I could have stole that one. I didn't even think about doing that. I'd give it a 9 from Dan Holyfield. Kenneth says I'd give it a 9.5. So we're getting really the higher ones. Faith Kelly going with a little higher ones. I rated it an 8.5. This episode felt much more of like a 60th than the other two, which I kind of agree, because like this is we're getting not just the 60th episode, we got 3 60th specials. So we can kind of rate them as one big lump, or this one felt that 60th. The timescales users rated the Giggle at 7.5 out of 10 of 76 ratings. They themselves would give it an 8. So again, we're getting really high kind of across the board kind of ratings up in that upper echelon. Mark Robinson says I did rate it on 10. Oh, so during he was during the live show, the watch party. So at that time he did rate it 10, but after reviewing it on another, I have dropped that to a 9.5 because RTD did copy his own story, aka the Arc Network and Master.
Very Russell.
So
it is worth noting his nephew, who also popped in on Saturday, still rates it a 10.
Yeah.
So his
very cool.
His younger nephew enjoyed it. We got. That's not what I was looking for. That's what I was looking for.
So the General Grievous 19 says, I would give it a 9 out of 10 for the Giggle. It was the best of 3 in my opinion. I agree. And as Barusa once said, 9 out of 10. So that was Edward Ide. And then Faith is back again saying, I mean, it's not a Doctor Who anniversary if the TARDIS isn't being airlifted to unit. Right? Again, we saw it being airlifted. I'm like, well, at least this time the Doctor hadn't had the sense to stay in, or not even in the TARDIS. I think he stayed he
in the helicopter.
Yeah, he got into the car, the vehicles, and then they went and then they took the helicopter. Oh, yeah, that's right. He was airlifted too. He was in the helicopter, not in the TARDIS.
What did you think, Melanie?
So I gave it a 10. Not thinking that I could have given it a 9.8. I keep forgetting because I used to like always do the whole TARDIS thing and then maybe cut the TARDIS like in half. Maybe 9.8 would actually be good, but now we're gonna round up. We're gonna go to the full 10. So I love this episode. I completely and utterly loved it. Mel was back. Yep. So somebody that shares my name is back, and bless, she gets to be not her on-screen character of screaming damsel in distress, but more like the Mel we got to see or hear in Big Finish, because remember she was a computer programmer, she was a computer scientist. So here she is working for a unit being amazing. I also love the fact that now we've got yet another companion that works for UNIT. It's like Kate is going through and going, you know what? I'm going to snatch up all these very smart people who've traveled with the Doctor, know a lot more stuff that we really can't just let the general masses know about, and I'm going to have them work for us. And then Donna turns around and shows how much she's the boss during it and says, oh, so what's the base rate? 60? I want 120. Oh, and I want 5 weeks vacation. And she's like, done. I'm like, so like every Doctor Who companion, you basically now, as long as you said travel with the Doctor in your resume, there is a Stark building that you can work at in London.
Didn't she get that offer before she went? The Doctor went, she's the best person on a keyboard in London?
I know.
Probably.
Right? And even then, just again, flexing the fact that she's the best typer in the world. Loved that. I did make the comment that yes, it was like Stark Tower, the Avengers headquarters, all that. I went a little tiny deeper in technically Phineas and Ferb did it first, and it was an Enator on the because I thought it was Doofenshmirtz kind of thing. And when
Evil Incorporated.
I called it when he made the cannon on the end. I called it, oh my God, it's an Enator. I wonder what it's gonna do. I was
a Time Lord. Doctor the Time Lord.
Yes. So that's where my mind had gone. I loved that. Can we just talk? Okay, can we just talk about the horror aspects of this of this episode?
Yes.
The dolls. Okay, first of all,
babies.
Horror.
The babies. Okay, so when we're watching it, just the giggle, and it's the first part where here comes he wraps up the puppet or the marionette and he gives it to the guy. I'm like, okay, that is the creepiest looking marionette I've ever seen in my entire life. This thing's gonna murder someone. Then it doesn't do that, especially he's like, oh, it has real hair. And I'm like, okay, the thing is possessed, it's gonna kill someone. And that doesn't happen. And it's on fire and it's melting. I'm like, okay, something these are yeah, so all my horror vibes. But when the toy maker brings them in, the hallway was like just the absolute, like I felt like it was the Cube, but it was just how them going in through each door and all that kind of stuff. Y'all, I watched the movie Dead Silence about the puppets. That was absolutely freaky when I seen the puppets in this. Yes, because they were freaky looking. And then Donna grabbing the mother puppet and until the
I'm gonna use that term, by the way. Mother puppet.
The mother puppet.
I love that. Mother puppet.
Mother puppet.
So, I mean, when she first came out, I wasn't ready for the little babies to come down. And then when she took the head off of it and then looks at the babies and just like, do you want to be like that? And they're like, backing up. I'm like, that was savage. And a little bit of me was like, oh, there's a line here. Please, Donna, do not attack those particular puppets. Please don't. Okay, we're not doing it. Whew, yeah, just scare off and go away. But the horror vibe on this was amazing. Yeah. The one thing Mark Robinson says, my first jump scare since Blink in Doctor Who. It was that there was great bits of horror in this. And yeah, I mean, Neil Patrick Harris came to play. He just, oh my goodness. So, I mean, when he wanted to be campy and chew the scenery and just own every single piece of this screen, he did it. But then when everything just needed to be right here, oh, just absolute the intensity that he can get just within his brow and in his eyes, especially when they're doing a little card game, and you can see he's not bluffing, he's not playing. We're playing, and we're playing to win, and this is serious. He just really brought that. But okay, so two more things we have not mentioned. Okay, it's puppet show time. The puppets that he brings out, it's first was Amy Pond. Oh, she was and he was just being all nice and everything. And then he starts cutting the strings. But remember, because he's basically saying, oh, she was left behind to die. What was it that because was that interplay of David, the 14th Doctor saying, oh, well, she lived a long life.
Well, that's all right.
She died of
That's
old
it.
age.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
well, that's all right then. That part was just visceral and just like it was like this vocal punch to go, oh well, I guess that's all right. That it was amazing. And then he does it again with the Clara puppet and going, oh well, we're just gonna go ahead and kill her off. She got one little second left of her life. But yeah, but she's off chain. Oh, well, then that's all right then. And then he does it again with Bill. So now he's just going back. I could not believe that RTD went. Here we're not gonna ignore stuff, people. We're embracing it. And then here comes the flux, and he's showing the planets and just trying to push how many planets and galaxies worth of people dying because of him. And Donna's just sitting there, kind of in shock, kind of not, because it's also kind of showing the card where she ends up saying later about how she did see everything in his head. So it wasn't too shocking, but still kind of, oh, this is a solemn moment. That scene was absolutely incredible. And that scene alone for me really pushed this up to the stratosphere for a 10, because it was just so heavy. And really, that's when I know Christian always likes to say, oh, it's the space god, and that's the Time Lord and all that kind of stuff. To me, that's that moment where you have the Doctor being the Doctor, and the toy maker is a not to be trifled with. Faith saying, making the Doctor dwell in his already unresolved trauma. Yes. And I mean, I thought that was beautifully written. Oh my Lord, the acting in that, just I like that it was the puppets and making it so that it's the metaphor that it's the Doctor who's the one that's cutting the strings, and the way the Amy one fell with the arm just like this.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my. Okay, so last thing. Now this is the one thing that if I could go back this episode, so an hour ago, we can go back and I change my review from a 10 to a 9.8. There's only one little teeny tiny thing I find a fault in. We're going to get the Master again? We're going to get the Master again.
Yep.
Are we?
I don't know. So that again, this is me. And I'm still stuck on, I thought Missy was like the greatest Master of all time. And then I just could never give Sasha his due, because I love Sasha.
It was a joke.
But I was like, so food. So that was, again, all me.
I think it was a joke. Russell T Davies is my dad. My favorite book in the world is The Writer's Tale. And so like I know a lot about what he's talked about, that moment where the hand picked up the ring originally. That meant nothing. That originally was going nowhere. But then when he finally settled down to write The End of Time and decided he wasn't going to focus on Daleks because Stephen Moffat said he was going to bring Daleks back, then we remember what the disaster that was. Russell instead went in a different direction and was like, well, I can just utilize the Master. And that's where he made up who the hand was at that moment. That wasn't a plan. I don't think this is a plan. Again, I could be wrong, but I really feel like that was more to give a wink and a nod. A lot of this stuff was to give a wink and a nod to his old stuff. So it was to harken back to that joke and to sort of give us the reassurance that the Master is out there somewhere, lurking.
Okay. He's not stuck in the box with the toy maker. He's out if he wants to grab that breadcrumb.
The hand was always, he jokingly called that the hand of the Ronnie originally in the audio commentary for that episode in 2007, and was like, that's for someone else to pick up on someday. And then he decided 2 years later that was him. Mm-hmm. But I don't believe it's with an intention. I think it's just, there were so many things from this, and we've discussed a lot of them that we felt like, and that's what I was even saying, where I feel like Jess is right, that this is a little bit favoritism for Russell to do by generation through David, when he already has this other copy. Mm-hmm. But it's part of what makes it an anniversary, I suppose. Yeah. I hope that they leave the Master to rest for a while. Same with Daleks. A lot of stuff. Bring in new old stuff, like the Ronnie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nope, I agree. So that's mine in a nutshell.
I screamed. Believe me.
If we're gonna get the Master back, I want a more unified, serialized plot arc. Something closer to John Sim, who had, because I ended up accidentally watching all of his stuff. I was going back to watch the Donna stuff and went, oh, and it just kind of rolled into one of his episodes, and I just kept going. He has a very tight, very structured. Same with, you know, when he first came in with the third with the third Doctor, there was like very, very much a storyline involving him, and that we get a little bit of that. We got a good character arc with Missy, but we don't get much of a story arc, or at least not a very unified one with her. If we're going to get the Master back, that's what I really would like. It's something very close.
I forgot to bring up Bill. Yeah, Bill Potts coming up also. So
yeah, I brought those ones up.
Okay, I wasn't sorry.
That's okay. You were talking. You had other things on your head.
You're being wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
Exactly. But no, as far as Sacha Dhawan, I've said it before. I'll say it again. He is the Cesar Romero of the Masters. What Cesar Romero was to Batman and to the Joker, he is that's his master, and I love it. So we definitely need to do that episode. Mark's in as well on a battle of the Masters.
Okay, so do you guys want to do an after party, or should we just go ahead and wrap this up and then?
It's up to you.
I'll just wrap up the audio.
I've got about an hour before I go live on my show, so I mean, I can stick around, but I think we've said all that we need to.
Yeah, we really hit.
Yeah. So if you have not watched Doctor Who's The Giggle, you clearly love living on the dangerous side and just love getting spoiled first before you go ahead and watch it. So across the board, everybody rated it high, had high marks. Definitely would recommend. Right now, again, we went everywhere between a 7.5 all the way up to a 10. So, and a lot of people, and that's me also adding the people in our comment section. Everyone went high with this, so probably repeatable for many. Definitely a really great episode, and we've got a lot of things that can be. There was a lot to discuss also, so watch it, go and then chit chat with other people, your friends and neighbors about it, and get them to watch because this was a good one.
I'm going to toss this out here. I'm going to toss this up because I want to. We're getting singing goblins for Church on Ruby Road. Yes, this is accurate. The song they sing is already up and available for sale, and somewhere I saw that it is actually all the proceeds that are going to charity.
So you can
get the goblin
song.
Awesome. Yeah.
I haven't heard it.
I was going to say, I wonder if because Charles Dickens did 2 Christmas tales, not just the Christmas Carol. He also did one called The Goblins.
Oh, that's funny.
And I'm now very curious whether that's the same story and where my copy of that book is. So we have to go hunting for that. But
yeah.
Okay, so this is going to end our review. This is going to end our review cycle at least till the end, until the Christmas episode. I'm not sure what we have queued up for next week. Dave's off the hook for live watch for Saturday, so he gets to have his life back for a little bit. Yay! Unless he just wants to randomly watch something. Let's see. So what would rate Giggle? Hold on. What would rate the Giggle, not overall, but scores for
shooting? Yeah, we did.
That's what Mark was talking about.
Oh, that's right. Mark was
on the live. He said we needed to come up with 2 ratings. One is a 14th Doctor story, and one is a 15th Doctor story.
We still have an hour.
I don't see this as a 15th Doctor story. This is just he regenerated
an introduction.
It was an introduction. Because really, any other time he's regenerated, he's not stuck around like as long as. Well, I mean, 13. No.
Yeah, we got a longer introduction than we usually do.
Yeah.
Yes.
And in a lot of funny ways, this is like it blends a regeneration story with the Christmas Invasion, which was a Doctor's first story. Where on our review of that, I was a little more critical because it's only like 20 minutes of the Doctor in the whole hour. So it's not really a good first Doctor story. In a lot of ways, this is a better first story for a Doctor because there is more Doctor in the whole episode. The fact that we get the Doctor up to a certain point and then he regenerates and then we get the new Doctor, that makes it a lot fuller than the Christmas
Mhm.
invasion. But yeah, no, it's not hugely a shooty story yet.
But I also feel like because the Doctor was interacting with the Doctor the whole time, we're not seeing the true Doctor, if that makes sense. Because we
Yeah.
all
I
know
get
the
that.
Doctor tries to impress himself or themselves. So it's
Yes.
kind of like, I feel like
Best
this was like
behavior.
a snap. Yes. So this was like a snapshot, but I feel like what we're going to see is going to be not a 180, but a very different person than what we saw in this episode. So I do feel like it's unfair to rate this Doctor with him having to interact with himself.
Yeah.
Because
Well, the
best
other thing-
behavior.
But also to your point of the Doctor's trying to impress the old Doctor, you're also getting a lot of therapy too. So now this does
Yeah.
have that possibility, whether or not they go with it, and that's as we were, postulating, was now a Doctor when they go away, when they regenerate, it's no longer a death sentence. It's no longer I don't have to go and now I gotta cry because now I know now they're off living their best life, and there's a little bit of therapy there too. So now it's like,
Mhm.
okay, my story's ended, and now I can go off and, congratulations, you won the game. Now you can go rest your heroes, and it's
Less
like the game of
maudlin.
life. Now you can either retire or live in the mansion. It's those two. It's not Monopoly where we just we're done, we're flipping the board, and someone won, we're walking away.
Yes.
Anyone
that.
else picture 11 during the power of 3 though when they said that? And I was like, okay. Like, because he couldn't sit still for 5 seconds because he's the ADHD Doctor.
And he probably won't. Who knows what he'll end up doing?
Bless.
Yeah.
Love him, but bless.
Yeah.
As Faith
I
said, the
wonder
universe
if
and the
his-
Doctor himself said, "Hey, dude, go to therapy. We need it."
Yeah.
I hope his bigenerative copy is the rejuvenated one that calls Clara from the TARDIS and not the 400-year-old man version. Could you imagine? That's the bigenerative copy that wakes up and is like, "Come on!"
That would be so much nicer.
Yeah.
I think Matt would like to play that, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Ah,
No, I agree.
I agree. I love this that we have that immediate Dr. Hart going on here.
mhm.
And I wanted to
Yeah,
draw
I-
attention to that too. Yeah.
I was expecting more of that out of Jodie. And I based that mostly out of A Childhood's End. But she felt like she was going to be the caring doctor. And she just ended up with a little bit too much trauma. So now we've got Shooty doing that, and it's great.
And I love that. There's a preview of the novelization going around that shows the regeneration scene. It's really beautifully crafted. And one of the things, it describes him as born laughing. And just how positive he is right away, taking his old self in, comforting him. We already had the Doctor call someone honey. Love it.
Mhm.
I really love his positivity. And I really feel like that's something that we all need and that I really want to also be channeling more. Like before, when I said you're wonderful, you are wonderful. And we all beat down not just on the things that we love, like Doctor Who or Star Wars, but ourselves so much. And I feel like we need to be more positive like that, And that's why I keep being like, I'm excited about the creative possibilities of this. Are there dumb things about it? Hell yeah. Are there things about this era I already don't like? Sure. There were things I didn't like in 2008. But I just want to be excited for something that I love. It's not literal garbage. It's not Birdemic, the movie.
Yes.
Soapbox off.
Okay. I was gonna say,
Don't
was
go
one-
watch Birdemic.
there was one
Unless
thing
you're very
I loved,
drunk.
but
Yes.
Yeah.
I wanted to
We must
bring
have
up.
before or after Sharknado 18.
Oh my god! You to watch Sharknado now just for the heck of it? No, you have to drink with that one. No, one thing I've completely forgot. I'm borrowing your soapbox, right, real quick.
Go for it.
That I did like about this episode. So there's a little bit of soapboxy on this. Okay, and it's great. So I don't know if anybody else cackled like a ha 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 kind of, like I told you so, which I try not to do. I want to be more kind with my life. But sometimes if it's me in the TV and like right now, I'm telling people about it. So when Kate went ahead and took her little band off to show, look, this is what happens. And you can see the 10th Doctor, 14 was kind of like going, so been busy? You all right? How you doing there? And she goes on and on and on and on. When she pointed to the woman in the I've seen you walk. I've seen you walk. I started laughing because all I could think of was the people who were with the vitriol yelling about the actress and the casting and her on the first
crossing her legs.
With her crossing her legs. And I was just like, that's y'all. That's y'all. Because just And then again, I loved how when they put it back on her, you just see all of a sudden the welling up of Kate just like, I'm so sorry. And she was like, it's fine. It's fine. You're good. Because unfortunately, you could see from her point of view, it was look, it's nothing I haven't heard before. And I know, at least from when it came from you, it was because of the thing that's going on in the world, not because it's this. Ugh.
Yeah.
But yeah, that part of me just kind of was like, it was almost as if like, RTD knew, or whoever writing this knew, you're gonna catch flack on episode 1. Well, guess what? By the 3rd special, y'all people who are doing that just got called out. Except y'all doing that.
That was one of the best parts of She-Hulk. There was all of that they wrote all that knowing that She-Hulk was gonna that those people were gonna go.
Yep.
I can't think of the name of the group, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I
people.
I know we were just trying to end positive and stuff like that, but this is me being just a complete petty person and being a little gleeful on. I'm glad they wrote that in because they're talking about you people who were not on this show and not.
Yeah.
You guys are good, but I mean, so there's some YouTube the really caustic trolls. Haha. We do know they know you exist and got your.
That's even what I mean. Spin it positive. You really hope that woke some people up.
Yeah.
And that really made some people think about the things that they perhaps say. And I think that we can all take a lesson from how hot-headed we can get about stuff, and just take a step back and be a little more patient, be a little kinder, be a little more understanding, because we don't know everything in the world. A lot of those people who said that probably have no idea that there are people who only need a wheelchair for some amount of mobility, but that isn't a full, issue. And now they're learning, and it's just all about learning and being patient with people as they learn, if they can learn patiently.
No, you're absolutely right. Because this and that's where, going back to what Jessica's point was early at the very beginning of the show, of it's showing people not in a huge hurrah, look, we could disabilities and putting it on a pedestal and say, look how good we are. No, it's quietly showing people that no, there's people who exist that they can get up out of their wheelchair. They can sit down in a regular chair. They can stand and lean for certain periods of time, and then they need their chair. But not putting it dead center and just not making it an issue, and just making people more aware. There's going to be kids and people and adults that are watching this for the first time going, oh, just watching the background and being cognizant going, oh, okay, well, that kind of exists. That's kind of cool.
Which is where I felt like they were trying to do with Ryan, and then they would forget halfway through episodes, and it was like, oh, okay. So they were making a lot of lines about it, and then they would have that be an obstacle to get around plot-wise, but then there would be other things where it's like, hold on, did you forget that this was, because you'd see him doing something that he said 2 episodes ago he couldn't do, and it was like, okay.
Oh, that's just like Kevin Costner forgetting his accent in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. It's just
That's true too. It's also TV.
Yeah.
Just keep going. It's like, where'd you?
But I think the thing with that is they were making it such a point that when it was lacking, it was a big deal. Whereas with this one, it was just like natural. It's like, these are people. Like, you wouldn't explain that someone has facial hair, and it's like, oh, so-and-so has a beard. You know,
I
and
think
then
that
that would be a little weird because it's like people everywhere have beards and like people everywhere use wheelchairs. So why does that need to be a big deal? But having that representation, so saying like no one's allowed to be in here with a beard would be odd, but people do get discriminated against for having a wheelchair. And so, like, I don't know.
Which going back
I
to
think
that
that-
point, now we can see that you can make a canon-friendly TARDIS that's wheelchair accessible and bring it to cons. That's pretty cool.
That's exciting.
I think that's I think amazing exciting, because then you could also use that for any type of cart or anything else, and especially since you can, not only just wheelchairs, but anybody that has like the little walker kind of carts, different ages, because might have those. Like my mom has one. She can get into a TARDIS a little easier now.
Yeah.
Roger says, how about the scene where the toy maker invaded Unit HQ, turning their bullets into flowers while he sang and danced with Kate? It was like a Banksy thing come to life, like with the person with the flowers and the Molotov.
I also thought of Thanos.
The reality stone?
Because you're in the Stark Tower and the reality stone. I was like,
we will be seeing that set a lot. I believe it was Phil Collinson was the third voice on the audio commentary, and he sounded very salty about how expensive it was. Very salty about how expensive it was, to the point where they were making jokes about how there might be whole episodes set in Unit HQ because it was a very expensive physical set. So we will probably be seeing a lot more Unit and a lot more of Unit HQ.
Heck yeah.
I would die if at least we go back in there and there's just some rose petals just in the corners,
constantly sweeping.
Someone's
They're
sweeping
still
it up.
sweeping them.
The guy with a little, old guy with a mustache. It's the guy, the Futurama.
Under a keyboard, just like, oh shoot, where was that? Sorry.
14 sweeping it, and that's his only appearance, just quietly in the background sweeping rose petals, and that's it.
Ha! Sorry.
That's when you bring back another
That
doctor.
wasn't
like,
a joke,
you get
but like
Colin
sweeping
Baker.
rose.
You bring another doctor, so that way it keeps going back. We can keep working the sideways thing, by generation. But like, it's Colin Baker.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And he just keeps going. You're like, what?
Oh, he'd love that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's his type of cameo.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I clicked it.
We're both on the same wavelength.
Yeah,
American Beauty.
Curated.
Yeah.
Oh,
And what Faith says too.
Yes, and then Mel spinning around that whole scene.
Yeah.
I was on the edge of my seat, also dancing because Spice Girls. I know. When see, we're going back. Sorry, I feel like let's wrap up the show. Now I'm just like when Neil Patrick Harris the toy maker took both Kate and Mel and grabbed them and started spinning them, and they were spinning and spinning and spinning. For the Buffy fans out there, I was really feeling like once more with feeling, because that's what the demon did to Dawn to Buffy, because Buffy was spinning and spinning and spinning, and I was thinking that they were going to spin themselves to death.
I didn't like Kate because she spun twice and hit the wall. I could not. I felt like Mel's was too effects laden spinny. It took me out of even
because she went down that and track a while and then fell.
Yeah, that one felt a little bit over too far, and in that scene, that says a lot.
There's the point 5
with that scene.
There's your point 5.
Yeah,
we found it.
Yeah.
It was just that one moment.
That was it.
Does a reference like that need to have a reason?
Anytime it's going to be an above shot with petals, that's going to be American Beauty.
Yeah, no, Mark asked this. I don't think it is. Like, they didn't invent that, and other stuff has done it since then. I understand that was iconic, but it was also like 25 years ago. So no, I don't think it is a reference to American Beauty. That is, especially because I don't think that she did like snow angels in the rose petals.
No.
Yeah.
Like,
now if he did like the alluring thing where he was like doing this or something, then yeah, I would have thought it would be
I'm sure Neil asked, but they said no.
Yeah.
Well, they turned him down. I said, no, that is the step too far, sir. Really? That's the one. Okay.
All right.
You didn't have to party by accident.
Yeah, exactly. So I think
Sorry.
I'm going to hype
No,
myself
don't be
one more
sorry.
time because I darn well can. Head over to my YouTube channel in about an hour.
Or
Yes, I 100% am. Thank you very much. Join me doing the birthday burglary escape room. It is this big. It is a tiny little thing. You can even go. You have enough time to download a copy of it, print it off in color, cut and paste. Like I said, it is 18 cards. This is no time at all, and you can actually try and solve this with me. Live in the comments. I will hopefully have a few friends live on camera with me. Friends that are on this stream, if you want to, by all means, please. Yeah, and I'm getting messages right now from other people saying, yeah, I'm printing it off now and getting it put it together. So join me in about an hour. Join Kevo on Sunday and Sundays.
Saturday and Sunday and Wednesday.
And join Tom in the comments of Kevo. Join Jess
And Dave.
Join Mel and stuff. I don't know what we're doing next week, as Mel was saying. We might have. I have to figure out my schedule because it's gone. I've been doing a Christmas dinner theater. The local community theater went help. So I've been doing that on top of all of this, but that ends this weekend, so I can kind of figure out
Life
more
again
than a day in
Christmas.
advance of what I'm doing. And we should be doing my yearly look at some Doctor Who board games for the Christmas season. So we'll be doing that. That's probably what we'll do next week. I think that's what we had penciled in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is the end of the review cycle. Since we just had 3, we will do another review after the Christmas one. We might try to pop in something else more, maybe Christmassy before the holidays, even if it's maybe because I wanted to do one that was like kind of giving gift ideas for your favorite Whovian and stuff like that, but that would be like all Amazon-y kind of just ideas. But hey, you never know. Maybe we'll even do like maybe another Christmas cooking one. I don't know. It'll take we'll get together this week to figure out what on earth we're going to do on Thursday or Tuesday. Anyway, but
you know, and you can tell that Christian is the one who wrote this because it's all hi Christian. It's all in caps.
It's bold.
Christian's in the comment section. So hi Christian. And yes, we'll see. Christian will be back eventually. He's taking some time, and so we'll see when he comes back. Might be next week. Might be in the new year. We'll figure things out.
He's building mystery.
Exactly.
So Sir McLaughlin.
Maybe he'll be a new Christian. He'll be an entirely new Christian. He will have regenerated.
Yes.
Yeah.
So without further ado, we already kind of did the where we could find everybody kind of deal. So I think we're done. Unless anyone else has anything else they want to promote. Anyone?
Just the show. And just the general sentiment of be excited, be kind, and instead of asking why, ask why not.
And thank you. Instead of why, ask why not.
Did you guys just see that?
I love that.
Yes, I did. What was that, Dave?
I didn't.
Yes.
Oh, because you have a thing. I saw this on Pod Meets World, the Boy Meets World podcast. Whatever you use, there's a lot of things that you can get. Like if you do like this, something happens. There's stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Good for you.
Yeah, do it in front of you.
You just gotta be like, we'll Google it for the next show. He'll have a
Just what?
Get excited.
There it
is. All right.
That's exciting.
And on that speed, thanks everybody. Tony, take us out. Please, Tony, take us out.